All right. So this was a labor of love. I was really passionate. As you can tell by Dr. Trans, she's very passionate about how she incorporated Canvas Studio and surveys into her course. So we'll talk a little bit more now about, okay, the details. How do you go about doing this? Let me go over it. Okay, so we're going to take a look at first how she incorporated, how she install those videos, and then I'll give you a use case scenario where we'll see from the student perspective what they see. And because of the way I'm structured, I'm not seeing the chat. So um, if there is some info in there, questions, Chris
I'll
and
monitor, no problem. Just
okay, okay.
type your questions or whatever, and I will relay them.
Cool, cool. All right. Canvas Studio is that communications tool built in that will allow you and your students to collaborate through video and audio media. That is, take using that media, you giving them instead of text instruction, you give them video instructions, and also students can submit their responses, their assignments using a video. And for Dr. Trans, she used it to embed video quizzes. Now you can embed videos and have points in the video that you want the video to stop and maybe share some your insights. In this case, she's done that, but as a quiz. And you notice here, you got a feature that says annotate the video. As I said, you can add a video to a course and set it up such that it will just stop and gives your insights or give a point that they need to um you want them to get or information you want them to highlight. That's by annotation, but she's used it to make a quiz. And after she did the videos, and I have to say this for her, she went to that one button studio, and you can create the videos strictly in Canvas Studio. And I can show you a little bit about that later. But she wanted them to be kind of smooth, and she did a very good job at going to the One Button Studio, which you'll see how those videos portray the information in the back, and she's standing in front, very smooth. Um, you got three types of questions in the Canvas Studio quizzes: multiple choice, true, false, multiple answer. And then you can check on their learning. You can take a look at a glance what your students learn, what they're struggling with, because you'll get those results right on the quiz. As the instructor, you can see that. Okay. And when you look at the scores, as I said, they populate together in a type of control percentage of the grade. Now you can, if you were to if you think about your Canvas quizzes, you can, as you set them up, you can say, I want to see the points, or you can want to see it in percentage. So that's the way she has to set it up. But here is what the questions look like. You add the question in, and this is very similar to Canvas quizzes. You select true or false, and then you have the option of putting in question feedback. If they got it right, you want to congratulate them, or if they got it wrong, you want to give them the correct answer. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to stop because I'm going to have to get out of this. I'm gonna stop sharing and reshare my a student version of let me get out here of the Canvas quiz. Mhm. And let me reshare. I have a fake student. Hey, Aaron. Got my EKU alert. Okay, so share desktop one. So I practice this. Okay. All right. Is everyone seeing? It says CBX Harper test. If I don't hear anything, I figure everybody's good. Okay. This is the perspective of fake Aaron. This is his the class is my test site. And here is one of the videos in Dr. Tran's class. Now, let me back out of this. This is one I've already done. And it says resume quiz, but let me go back to one that I have not played around with. Okay. So when the students get the quiz, they'll see and they see the attempt. It's coming, I promise you. There, it's doing a little, there we go. So this is what the students see. And here's your name, the quiz results. We don't have any yet, but we're gonna get started. Now I'm gonna play this um long enough.
Welcome back. In
We're
our
not gonna
previous
go,
session, we
I didn't share the sound. So let me quickly unshare and then share the sound. Okay. Let me know if you're not hearing the sound.
defined forensic science and touched on its historical development. In this video, we're going to focus on the engine room of forensic science, the laboratory. We'll look at how forensic science laboratories are organized and the essential services they provide to the legal system. First off, it's important to understand that there isn't one single model for a forensic science laboratory. Laboratory organization varies significantly depending on the jurisdiction, the agency it serves, and its history. This means a state police lab might be structured differently than a city police lab or a federal lab. However, we can broadly categorize laboratories by who administers and finances them. On one hand, you have private forensic science laboratories. These labs are typically independent businesses. They often perform only one or two specific types of examinations, maybe just DNA analysis or just digital forensics. A key role they play is that they allow persons accused of crimes access to forensic science services, providing an avenue for defense teams to have evidence reanalyzed or new analysis conducted. On the other hand, and far more common in supporting the prosecution side of criminal cases, are public forensic science laboratories. These labs are administered and financed by various government agencies at the federal, state, or local levels.
Okay, so here's the first question that came up at 1 minute, 37 seconds. And I will just push something. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, no, that's not right. Okay, well, just put it in. Okay, so that's basically how it
At
works.
the
And you
federal
notice it
level in
starts
the U.S.,
back up again. So I won't go on any further, but I do want to share what it looks like to the quiz data, the results data that you can see. So let me go back in the modules because in the first, this is the student's perspective, and I have taken this assignment once for as AA Ron. And here is what the students will see. This is my first attempt, um, and I got 3 out of the 5 right. I took 9 minutes, and noticing the way Dr. Trans has it set up, um, I am seeing my right answers because if you get a true, false, wrong, you know the other one is the right answer. But she set it up to give them the correct answers. So this is from the student's perspective. And let me see if I can't. This is on the same screen. Pull up the instructor's perspective. I have it on here. I know I do. Okay, so this is from the instructor's perspective. Is everyone seeing this? Do I just stop and reshare? Silence means yes. Okay, so this is the student, excuse me, the instructor's perspective. And basically this is coming in a module. Let me pull this up. Okay, so here is her sandbox. And when the sandbox, this is where we developed the course in. And notice that she talked about no, I take this back. Excuse me. This is my sandbox. I have pulled in a couple of her videos. And basically, this is, we created an assignment Let me go and edit assignment settings. So this is using the assignment tool in Canvas, where she has gone in, labeled it, the name she wanted, and in the assignment settings is a little bit different. You're not embedding a video here. You're using the submission type, using an external tool, and you're bringing in the studio video from Canvas Studio from here. And you can, she has due dates here and set. But that's how she embedded the videos into her course. Opening up an assignment page, not just a plain page, but an assignment page, and embedding the videos using the external tool. That's how you can use your Canvas Studio quizzes. Okay, so let me stop sharing for a second. Any questions? I see some. Okay. Okay, so let me go back and let's talk about Canvas Studio surveys because Dr. Trans did incorporate surveys into her course. All right, so let me make this bigger. Oh, all right. Yep. What are you? Now let's see if it'll move. Okay, Canvas surveys in active learning. Canvas has two type of surveys you can use, one a grading one an ungraded survey. Um, when you think about anything that you have graded, here's my thing, rule of thumb, and a couple throwing a couple points at a student may give them incentive to do a survey, especially when you want their feedback per se. But an ungraded survey is another option that you can, even if it's graded, you have the option of saying it won't count towards their final grade, which is kind of like an ungraded survey, but keep in mind those are your two type of survey options. Basically, let me say this, a survey in Canvas is a quiz, is a type of quiz. So if you look in the instructor guide, user guide, and you're looking where surveys. Survey is a type of quiz. Come on. So use case examples of quizzes. One, muddy is point surveys if you've not thought about. If you want, maybe after a summative assessment or after a quiz or major quiz, you may want to ask students where they are to help them understand where they're struggling. So having a muddies point survey to help find out where they're getting hung up, where there's the bottleneck, and then and this helps them reduce their cognitive. You can help them reduce their cognitive overload with what they're struggling with in the course, and then give them some sense of control or autonomy. I know this happened with me as I was in graduate school. Professors will often ask this question, okay, what's going well? What needs and what's what's bad and needs to be changed, and then what do you need to continue to do? And that gave them a feel, maybe a quarter of the way or three-quarters of the way, what they could do to kind of help us as their students be successful in their class. So these are just two ways to use surveys. However, Dr. Trans has used her surveys in getting a feel for if the videos are working. In fact, she's doing research right now uh, to see how effective those videos are. So let me go back and share with you what the surveys look like in her course. And I hope I'm not giving you too much of whiplash going from one screen to the next. Okay, and you see this? All right, so let's take a look at the surveys in her class from the student's perspective. Let me go back home. And she has a survey in her class for every module. Again, she's trying to gather data on whether or not the videos are helpful for the student. Um, what about the course is helpful, but really she's trying to gather data to see if the videos and how often they can take the videos and the information, of course, is helping the students. So if you say resume, I had already clicked into this, but basically here you have. And the lecture videos, were they help meaningful? Did you watch them all? Did you rewatch one? Are there questions in the videos that help? Again, how that affected your module quiz exam, because she talked about that module quiz. She wanted to know if what they're doing is they think is helping them. So basically, this is the quiz, and then the last two questions are open-ended, where she would have to go in and see what they responded. Um, as I had mentioned, she's doing research on this, and one thing to point out on surveys, unlike with non-survey quizzes, you can't gather the data granularly, like per student. You're going to get an overall score on terms of these questions. Just keep in mind when you do survey, you won't get like Johnny and what he chose, Susie what she chose. It's just going to be collective, and that's something she's find out as we're trying to look at the data. Um, you can get it, but you have to go. It's something you have to do manually versus in regular quizzes, you can get the analytics per student. Just something to keep in mind. So that's the student's perspective of the survey, but just taking a look at it from the instructor's standpoint. As I said, this is a quiz. It's the type of quiz for Canvas. You can have a graded or ungraded survey, but once you select that, it's just like building a quiz. You hit build and you create the questions just like you would in a quiz. Here, you get the type of selection, multiple choice, whatever you want in the survey, and you put it in. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing just for a second. Any questions on how to build a survey? That seems simple. All right. So the last thing I want to talk about is the H5P. And I don't know if anybody about H5P. It's like that little exciting Christmas present. And I have to stop right here and say technology for technology's sake is not a good thing, but there really are some good use cases for H5P's interactive interactiveness. So let me share my screen again and get back to the PowerPoint. All right. I really love, and I say this as an instructional designer, tools that will allow you to make the content interactive. That is, make the students do something with the knowledge that you're sharing with them. And Dr. Trans talked about um, the active learning, and let me get rid of my CCs here. Active learning being the student-student content, student-to-student interaction, sorry, and student-to-content interaction and student-to-faculty interaction. But H5P allows you to get that student-to-content interaction in a way um, that makes them do something with the content. If students don't do anything with the content, 9 times out of 10, it's going to stay on the surface and then go away as soon as they get a text on their phone or close up the course. So H5P is an abbreviation for HTML5 package, and it's a plugin that EKU has access to that allow you to create these interactive bits of content, whether it's video, whether it's a presentation, a quiz, a puzzle, and more. Um, And one element to be aware of is not all of these elements are accessible. And so out there, I can share there's information to share with you to let you know which of the tools are accessible. Again, I apologize for jumping in and out, but what I'm going to do is show you some examples. Okay. All right. So let me go. And let me show you from the instructor standpoint first. And I also share preferences that our team member Brooke on here has um, done a lot of curating of some elements that she's created for some of her faculty that she support in her colleges. And so from the instructor standpoint, this is what it's going to look like. And I do need to add, right now, the IDC, we have the license to create these tools, and we would be the ones to create them and then add them to your course. I know there's one department that's, coming up with the money themselves to get their own license, but right now, IDC is the one who would create these little elements and put them into your course. Let me see. And I want to show you right here. There's a little button here saying H5P. We would click on that button after we've created the little element, whatever element it is, and add that to your course. What this is a interactive booklet. So let me get out of this. Hit save or cancel. And this is what it looks like. Now, I won't bore you, but this is the setup first. And notice this is allowing you to see what sections that you have. This is from the instructor's perspective. And you see there's 3 sheets to this. Ooh, that's acting a little funky. And maybe it doesn't like me. It doesn't like me. So we're going to stop that. Go back to modules. Let's
Just
just
go
go.
full screen with it, Carla. If you
Okay.
go full screen, hit the green upper left corner of your Mac window, hit full screen, and then try it. Shouldn't dance.
Okay. Yeah, it's like, no, you didn't. Okay. Technology is wonderful. Let's do it again. And hit full screen. Okay. All right.
That's
So
it.
here, thank you. And here, you notice these points here? That's where if you can progress through these 25 slides, and this is lab safety, and those little blue dots here. You're basically walking them through the lab safety instruction. And you can get to a certain point like, okay, we've talked about several things. Boom. Let's talk about what you understand and what you know. So you can click on the button and see whether or not you have gotten it right. And you can still show your solution here. Okay. And then they have a chance to retry that. But then again, it takes a 25 slide presentation, breaks it down to where, okay, they have to have this lab safety, but it allows them within this presentation to do something with the content. But just briefly, I want to show you what this looks like from the student's perspective. So we'll go to fake Aaron. Come on. All right, and we'll go back to modules. We'll get out of our quiz. All right, let me make this bigger. Okay, come on, we're getting your course. Okay, so let's go down and then go back and see what fake Aaron sees. So instead of seeing everything that was around it, he's got the same front interest in entrance. But here he has the information on the table, the links to more information, but I can change to the next page. Notice this navigation is at the top versus the bottom. He's got the side navigation, but then he's got the 25-page presentation and those questions in there that allow them again to do something with the content. Um, and then at the end, there's a summary. I gotta take some back. Oh, and then you have this, it can go wide. Now, there are a lot of different types of elements, and I can share with you the link to the different types of elements and what is accessible. Um, just thinking about how can you make the content such that students can do something with it while they are learning it. A lot of, especially science and math, physics, all those things are really factual heavy. They've got to learn facts. So how can you help them do that in a way that is going to help them retain it a little bit more? So these little exercises or little elements, H5P elements can be used to be in any part of the course to help um, increase that engagement. Um, so I'm going to stop there and ask if anyone has any questions. And Cindy's back, so we can ask her questions about you how she what issues she had incorporating these things. I said she did a really polished job on the videos. Maybe how she's getting data from the videos, how she is adjusting things based on the data. So here's your chance.
I think I saw Carla touched on it a little bit with the surveys, but finding out that when students complete a survey that you cannot export their individual answers like you can for a quiz was frustrating. After we had, 7 sets of surveys already completed. So that was definitely a learning curve there. Um, and there are aspects of video analytics that you can get in Studio, but not that you can view them in the Studio, but you can't just export them. So you have to kind of copy and paste them into Excel, and there's some data cleanup there.
We got a question from Rachel. She asked, how does the quiz know where to embed each question within the video? Do you tell the video when to pause? Yes, you said that.
Yes. So in Studio, it will bring up the video, and then you can tell it at what time point. You can then select what type of question comes up, and then you'll input the question stem and the answers, and potential feedback. I think it does feedback there too.
Yes,
I
yes,
didn't actually
yes.
add feedback. I was doing so many videos. I was like, I will have to come back to do feedback.
Some of you did. Some of you
Some
did.
of them I think I did. If I
Yeah.
had like immediate like, oh, this is the feedback I'd give. But if I had to pause and think about it at all, I was like, I don't have time for that in just with the scale of the revisions I was doing. So yes, you tell it when to pause. You cannot put two at exactly the same time point. So they have to be like 1 second off. So if you're planning to put, when I scripted my videos, I figured out where I wanted time points, and I planned a slightly longer pause in between breaths. So I would have a clear time point to hit between thoughts. And if I had two questions at the same time point, then I needed a longer breath, because you need effectively two timestamps for the questions. And it looks like Chris put a picture of that in
Yes.
the bottom. You never know how many different faces you make when recording a video until you have to pause it and find a spot to pause. And you're like, I don't really like that face that they're going to see when this video pauses. So I'm going to go 1 second further.
Exactly, exactly. Any other questions? That's a very good question. And like Chris put in the Canvas instructor guide, that information is there. That breaks it down. Uh, Rachel. So if you want to, walk through it, that you can get really good information from your Canvas instructor guide. Any more questions? We have 15 more minutes. This now's the chance. And if you think of any, also you got um, Sydney's email. I'll give you mine. You can always follow up. Um, with if you can't think of your questions now, reach out.
And I love talking about course design, so I'm happy to bounce ideas
Carla, I
around
had a
for.
question for the group, for you all. The course that you shared with us, was that course, a face-to-face course, hybrid, or fully online?
It was fully online, asynchronous
Okay.
as a 7 week term.
Okay. And do you feel like some of those elements, I'm sure there's folks on the call that do teach fully face-to-face. Have you
Mhm.
incorporated any of those in your other courses that you've been teaching?
So I incorporate the the premise of like my hands-on case study discussion board stuff into the courses that I teach in person. I don't teach the same course in person. I teach more upper level other courses, but that kind of engagement, discussion, interaction, pausing in the middle of a lecture to ask them questions, I definitely do that in person. Um, I have done things like practice sets for the homeworks, using that as a platform in some of my courses, doing online exams. I've done that as well. So that way instead of having time in class to take an exam, well, this week, instead of homework, you're going to take your exam on Canvas. I've done that as well. So it's not the elements are there, but for the structure, every course I teach is structured differently because it's different material and different students. So yeah, but
Yeah,
I
no,
do
that's
keep some of the
awesome.
elements. Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm going to put the link to the PowerPoint in the chat and for you, for those who are here, and just for your to be back and review it. As I said, you're watching it now, but I'm sure you're thinking of questions of how can I incorporate this? What issues am I having in my class with regards to engagement, and how can I take what I've learned today and implement it? So I've got the PowerPoint there. Maybe it can help trigger some ideas, um, and or address some issues that you may be having. Well, if you don't have any more questions, Chris, Jacob.
Thanks very much. Thank you all for attending today. This is a great session. Really appreciate the perspective and the implementation of the vision. Just remember, if think about what you want learners to know or your students to know or be able to do, or get in touch with your instructional designer and ask for help. And you'd be amazed at what you can get done with your ingenuity and theirs. So thanks very much today. Really appreciate your time and attention.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. Just want you guys to know that if you need to reach out, feel free to do so. I'm kind of here as a representative on the IT side, so stuff starts breaking on you, feel free to reach out to me. I think we're very appreciative of the IDC and everything they do. So thank you guys.
And likewise with IT. Thank you all.